It's only gonna bring you down.
Hi everybody. Today's review is more or less kind of an informational type of video. I've been asked several times to do a comparison video between Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille and ByKilian's Back to Black, as they're both kind of held on this pedestal as two of the best tobacco-based fragrances in the niche market. Now, I think that they are, personally, I think that they are the two best tobacco-based fragrances in the niche market. And believe me, I have tried just about every tobacco fragrance in the designer game, in the niche market, in the like basement type fragrances that you get from other sources. I've tried so many tobacco-based fragrances because tobacco happens to be one of my favorite notes. So I'm always on the lookout for a good tobacco-based fragrance. Now, to kind of give you an idea of what each one kind of represents. Tobacco Vanille, okay? This is in my top 5 favorite fragrances of all time, and it has been since I've owned it. This fragrance represents all that is kind of, it's difficult to explain this kind of tobacco. A lot of people say it smells like tobacco and vanilla, hence Tobacco Vanille. But for me, this is like a honeyed tobacco, almost like a cigar, okay? You know, me and my uncle actually smoke cigars regularly, at least once a week, and you know, I buy cigars, I have a humidor, all that kind of stuff. And this reminds me more than anything of something that you would get out of a fine cigar rather than like pipe tobacco, because you know, of the different phases of the fragrance. It starts out. I'm gonna have to spray it out for you. Okay, it starts out a bit bitter and almost kind of like a ashy, honeyed smoke tobacco. And with this fragrance, you know, the reason why I love this so much, it turns out smelling like, you ever had Cocoa Pebbles? It smells like tobacco mixed with mushed up Cocoa Pebbles, you know, s'mores, you name it. It's one of those kinds of fragrance, like gourmand tobacco, really. And that is why I love it so much. It's a fascinating scent. It smells fantastic to me. Whereas ByKilian's Back to Black, okay, now this fragrance, this is my second favorite tobacco-based fragrance, only second to Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille, and they're very close. This fragrance makes it in my top 10. Tobacco Vanille makes it in my top 5. They're very close, and God, this stuff is heavenly. Make sure I don't have anything on my wrist here. You know, and the difference really is this is a pipe tobacco. This is a pipe tobacco with a raspberry note that's very, very nice. It's like you're smoking a raspberry flavored pipe tobacco. But then after the opening, after about 20 minutes, it gets into a very, very sweet, honey drenched pipe tobacco. And it's dead sexy, okay? Now, there's really no comparing the two, but, you know, I was asked to kind of compare the two. There's really no comparing the two. They're too different. They're two very different takes on tobacco. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of give you what I think about each fragrance, and then I'm going to review them separately at some point. But basically, the difference is this. Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille is a gourmand tobacco. It is more of this is difficult. I feel like it's more of a sensual fragrance that's meant for a man and woman that have been dating for a while, whereas ByKilian's Back to Black is like the fragrance that, you know, swoops her off her feet. Do you see what I'm saying? ByKilian's Back to Black is in fact an aphrodisiac. I mean, it had me at hello. I don't know. You know, it's too difficult. I love them both. It's too difficult for me to tell you the differences. I should get my girlfriend on here and let her explain the differences, which one she would prefer. I will tell you, she actually does prefer Back to Black. She does like that honeyed sweetness over the Tom Ford's, kind of a little too potent, she says. So, but, you know, for me, I like Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille better. Now, tobacco is a note. Let's just talk about tobacco-based fragrances in general. Since I can't really compare the two, they're too different. You know, I've tried dozens upon dozens of tobacco-based fragrances. These two are my main two staples for my tobacco fragrances. These two are it. They're my main guys. Now, in the designer game, Pure Havane is very, very good. It's probably the best tobacco-based fragrance in the designer game. Unless you're, yes, the designer game. There are other fragrances that are considered to be tobacco-based, like Gucci Pour Homme, not Gucci 1. Gucci Pour Homme, the new one with the horse bit metal cap. I think that stuff stinks. I think it sucks. It's absolute crap, synthetic shit. It smells nothing like tobacco. It's like a cypress explosion of crap. And the one, Dolce & Gabbana is the one. That's considered to be tobacco. I don't really get a whole lot of tobacco out of it, to be honest with you. I get, you know, some fruits and a little bit of a nice woody backdrop. It's very good fragrance. I love the one. I love the one. It's fantastic fragrance. But it's not tobacco. Tobacco is usually, you know, a real true blue tobacco is usually only found in the niche market. It's just it's a fact. I have yet to see any other fragrance that really nails it in designer game other than Pure Havane. Most of them, any tobacco-based fragrance that I've tried that, you know, says that they have tobacco, claims they have tobacco in the fragrance notes lineup, is just absolute crap. It's not happening. So that's that. But as far as the niche goes, there are so many tobacco-based fragrances. You have to choose what it is you're interested in. Are you interested in dry tobacco? Are you interested in like cigarette smoke? I'll tell you right now, Etat Libre d'Orange, their fragrance, Jasmine et Cigarette, is stunning. It is a very different take. It's cigarette smoke, tobacco, hay, and jasmine. It floored me when I tried it. Yeah, it smells like you've been smoking a cigarette mixed with jasmine and hay, and it's actually really good. It's really good. You know, there's so many different takes. Adori's tobacco, now that's a very dry, almost cigar smoke kind of tobacco, and that one's not for me. I don't like that one bit. You know, there's so many different kinds. Bel Antonio, I forget who created it, which is ridiculous because I own it. It's in the other room. It's bad. That fragrance is fantastic. It's, you know, it's coffee and tobacco. It's like you're in a smoking lounge, drinking coffee, smoking a cigar. There's so many different tobacco-based fragrances. You kind of have to play around and figure out which one it is that works for you. Now, for me personally, like I say, my favorite is this one, but these two are my two favorites. And personally, I think if anyone's going to start out with a tobacco-based fragrance, start out with something that's easy to get along with so you can kind of work your way into it, because there's very complex tobacco-based fragrances. And they can come off as old manish. I had a gay friend of mine, I figured I could get some good input on this because I was kind of trying to prove my girlfriend wrong. I'm like, no, this smells good. What did I have on? Actually, I think it was Tobacco Vanille. I was like, doesn't this smell good? Because she was kind of saying it was too strong, and he's like, no, you smell like an Englishman. No offense to any Englishmen out there. He's like, you smell like an Englishman drinking tea, about ready to get schnocker. I don't know what he said exactly, but that's kind of along the lines of what he said, trying to offend me. I'm like, you know what? Screw you guys. I love Tobacco Vanille. Whatever. So I guess Tobacco Vanille out of the two would be the one that's for me, whereas ByKilian's Back to Black would be the crowd pleaser. But that's just what I was going to mention. If you're dipping into tobacco-based fragrances, I would say start with Pure Havane by Thierry Mugler. It's a very nice vanilla, pipe tobacco, and honey type fragrance. It's pretty good for what it is. I own it. It's good. It's nice. But if you're looking for a true blue tobacco-based fragrance, it smells like straight up tobacco. I would recommend, if you're diving into the niche market, starting with ByKilian's Back to Black. Honestly, because it's sexy, it's easy to get along with. It's nobody that I've encountered has said that it smells bad. I did have my mother actually told me said it smelled like baby powder, but I've had people compliment me left and right on both of these fragrances. It all depends on what you like, really. But I just kind of want to throw it out there that tobacco is kind of a complex note, especially when you're focusing on a tobacco-based fragrance. There's so many different takes. Tobacco by Costamore, that's another very, very good, affordable tobacco-based fragrance. It actually kind of reminds me of Back to Black. Jasmine, honeyed pipe tobacco, very, very nice fragrance. Definitely give that one a check too if you don't want to spend the money on ByKilian's Back to Black. But all in all, tobacco, one of my favorite notes, in my top 5 favorite notes to use in a fragrance, as both these are in my top 10, so obviously that, it speaks for itself. But I just kind of wanted to share that with you and share, what I recommend any of you that are starting to dive into the tobacco-based fragrances. The fragrances that I would recommend would be definitely ByKilian's Back to Black and Thierry Mugler's Pure Havane if you're starting with the tobacco-based fragrances. Like I say, don't be fooled with the marketing as far as like the Gucci goes and the Dolce & Gabbana, the one. It's just not true. There's no tobacco in there. I'm sorry. It's not true. I don't care. Any of you out there can try and convince me otherwise. It's not there. Not there. You want tobacco, you go to one of these two that I just mentioned. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will talk to you all later. If you are interested in more series videos like this, where I cover like a note and give you an example with a couple fragrances, please let me know in the comments below, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.